CNN hosts covered a meeting that Trump had with Republicans and Democrats on the issue of immigration. And host Dana Bash gave, honestly, one of the worst breakdowns I think I've ever seen.
This was kind of stunning. I have not seen anything like this.
There's a lot to discuss with regard to the substance, because there are a lot of unanswered questions and a lot of real discussion in this room. But I think it definitely bears underscoring. Look, we've all covered a lot of photo ops for the sake of bringing the cameras in to send an image around the world. That's not what this was, and we are as skeptical as they come. I think that's fair to say. This really was a negotiation. We really got we were the fly on the wall in this room, listening to the way they talk. I'm really not convinced that it would have been any different had the cameras not been in there. And I've just been communicating with now 2 Republicans who were in that meeting who said that they had no idea that the cameras were going to stay in there as long as they did. The president, before the cameras came in, said we're just going to be kind of a typical thing. They're going to come in. I'm going to make a remark. You guys can too, and so on and so forth. And I'm sure I'm going to get hit for this, and I don't really care. I think that the bottom line is that this is, a year ago, this is the presidency that many people thought Donald Trump was capable of. We don't know if this is going to be a results-driven debate, but just the notion of him being in command, of him wanting the cameras in there and wanting the cameras to see him sitting at a table with Democrats and Republicans, playing the role of a deal maker, whether it's sees fruition or not. This is what people who had high hopes for the Trump presidency thought it would be, meeting after meeting like this.
Think about how embarrassing that is. All it takes for the mainstream media to fawn over Donald Trump is him to not have a mental breakdown and nearly fling his feces against the wall. That's all it takes. So remember the last time that this happened, and the media across the board decided, oh, God, this is great what he's doing here. It was when he bombed Syria, when he decided to bomb a Syrian government airbase. That was when, Fareed Zakaria went out there and said, this is the night that he became president. And Brian Williams spoke about the beauty of our missiles as, they showed pictures on the screen of the missiles taking off. And you had everybody say, oh, he's being so presidential. Look at this. This is very respectable. Obviously, the moment that you become a serious person is when you launch an attack against a country that didn't attack us. Then we're going to fucking sing your praise. So, in other words, the unhinged maniac, lunatic, who nobody should trust, and he has the attention span of a toddler, and he's impulsive. That guy is obviously crazy until he starts bombing shit, and then he's fucking awesome. Then we love him so much. This is the same kind of shit that's going on here. So all this was a meeting with Democrats and Republicans on immigration. And in that meeting, Trump said, yeah, maybe we'll do the Clean Dream Act, or we'll do a Dream Act, but we want a border wall in return. What? Why do you think that that's like, oh, what an adult. What an adult. He gave like a fucking centimeter in the debate, but not even really. So, what an adult he is. He's not going to try to fucking deport every single person in the country, even though, by the way, there's announcements coming out day after day. It was Haitians at one point. Now it's El Salvadorans, 200,000 of them. They're like, yeah, get the fuck out of here. We don't want you here. I just flung a piece of paper across the room. But that's all it took, was him to go out there and say, yeah, whatever, Dream Act for border wall. And they're like, oh, he's so serious. He's sitting in a meeting. There are Democrats there and Republicans there, and he's talking. How presidential? Our president talks. Our president has words come out of his mouth. It's amazing. Have you seen how serious this man is when he sits in a chair and he uses words? Look at how fucking low the bar is. But really, when you think about it, this is what it boils down to. I'm going to explain it to you right now. The mainstream media, and specifically this CNN panel here, they're tone obsessed. That's what they are. They're tone police. So in other words, if you have a president go out there and talk in a normal, somewhat monotone voice and explain calmly and succinctly that perhaps we should wage an offensive attack against another country that didn't attack us. Or they go out there and they explain, sure, I appointed Goldman Sachs throughout my administration and made a tax bill that biases everything in favor of them and Wall Street and screws over regular people. If you have somebody who explains this in a normal tone and gives you a heaping dose of bullshit with it, the media goes, oh, isn't this wonderful? They're continuing our streak of imperialism and bombing random countries and looting the treasury for the rich, but they're doing it in a way where he's not raising his voice. He's doing it in a way where he's calm. How presidential is he? Yes. And it's so sad because it shows how utterly unserious these people are. You know, the way that they cover politics, this is a weird analogy to make, but bear with me because I think it makes sense. It's almost like sports talk, where they love to talk about the personalities involved in the game, and they love to talk about anything but the substance. Anything but the substance. So you're not going to get this panel on CNN, if they were really doing their job, they would be diving into the policy details of what's happening here. That's what they would be doing. But they don't discuss policy at all. All they're talking about is presentation. Hey, Trump is wearing a suit and there are cameras in the room and he's talking in a calm voice with Republicans and Democrats there. Oh, so presidential. Think about how dim of a conversation that is, how low IQ of a conversation that is. Because honestly, you can grab, no disrespect to sixth graders, but you can grab a bunch of sixth graders off the street and put them at a round table and have them talk about politics. They'd make the same points. You know, well, President Trump really looked like he was in control in that room today. And the media cameras were in there and we got to see the way it worked. And the way it worked was great. And this is the presidency that many people thought it was possible of him to do, to sit down at the table and make deals. Yeah, he's a great deal maker and negotiator. Yeah, these are literally points that middle schoolers can make. It requires no research. It requires no understanding of policy. It requires no breakdowns for the American people to get into the details of what's really happening. It requires no explanation of the shifting of the Overton window to the right over the years. They don't do that because, again, they're not serious people. And there's a reason why these people are hired by CNN. They're hired because of that. CNN loves the status quo. They're a giant corporation. They love the status quo. So what do? Hire people who aren't going to question the status quo. Hire people who will come out there and say everything's normal when you have a fucking maniac president who's giving away our country to Wall Street and keeps bombing, countries that didn't attack us. Have them come out there and say, but he's saying it in a nice tone. He seems like he's well put together today. Therefore, this is the day he really became president. Isn't his tone wonderful? What a serious thing. This is what everybody thought he was, capable of doing. How on earth does what happened in that room affect anybody in a positive light? He didn't agree to a clean DREAM Act. He didn't agree to it. So why are you singing his praises? There's no tangible benefit for anybody in the country as a result of what happened in that room. But because he was calm and he wasn't fucking tweeting in all caps with exclamation points, going sad, you go, oh, what a serious person. Well, he finally stopped tweeting us into nuclear war for 13 seconds, even though he'll go right back to doing it tomorrow. What a serious person he is. This is the same shit they did with Syria. Oh, he bombed Syria. Now he's serious. It's unbelievable what it takes to get corporate hacks like Dana Bash and the rest of them to all of a sudden pretend like everything's good now. Everything's good because they're millionaires. They're millionaires. Trump's policies don't affect them in a negative way. Trump's not drone bombing Dana Bash's house. Trump's not, giving a tax increase to Dana Bash. She's getting a tax cut because she's a millionaire. So all it takes is, but he's speaking in a sober tone, therefore now he's a serious president. So look, man, the bottom line is they normalized Trump. That word's been thrown around a lot recently. Normalization. This normalizes Trump. When the media is so pathetic and they have such an establishment bias that all it takes is a calm tone to deflect and obfuscate from the issues at hand, that's why our media is rotting. That's why our media is breaking down. That is normalization. as the guy's fucking bombing 8 different countries. He got rid of the rules of engagement in Somalia, loosened them so that we can do, attacks on top of attacks. When he continues to give the country over to Wall Street, when he passes a tax bill that raises taxes on everybody making $75,000 a year or less, and cuts taxes for the mega rich and corporations, and blows over $1 trillion hole in our deficit. Then they come back and say we got to cut Medicare and Social Security. When he's doing all that shit and you have nothing to say about that because it's policy related, and all you have to say is about his tone, well, you're so bad at your job that it's unbelievable that anybody takes you seriously. By the way, most people don't take you seriously, and the media is one of the least trusted professions in this country, but it's just pathetic that they still get to control the national dialogue to a large extent. That is normalization right there. For fuck's sake, talk about the policies. This is not normal. This is not, on virtually every issue, he's been a super far-right establishment Republican, super serving the establishment, screwing over working people, bombing people overseas. What else? I can't imagine what the guy would need to do to finally get the media to say, no, he should be brought up on war crimes. It's almost like inherent in the DNA of the mainstream media is you can't go there. You can't question a U.S. president in those terms because, hey, we are the law. We're the only superpower in the world. We believe in human rights and altruism and freedom and democracy, even though we support 73% of the world's dictatorships. But you'll never hear who said George Bush should be tried for war crimes. He committed war crimes, torture, illegal invasion of a country that didn't attack us. Over 200,000 civilians died. But did anybody with CNN saying, war crimes? If any other country did this, we'd call for their leaders to be brought up on war crimes. If Iran did this with war crimes, we do it. We have to say war crimes. But they wouldn't say that because they're so biased in favor of the establishment that they can't see straight. Even if Trump were to nuke a country, it would be portrayed on CNN as a disagreement. Hey, come on. Why'd you do that? You shouldn't have done that. But then if people say, drag his ass to the International Criminal Court and lock him up, they go, whoa. Come on now. It's just a gentleman's policy disagreement we're having here. This is exactly what's going on with the DREAM Act too. Oh, he's using, innocent kids who've been here from when they were kids as a bargaining chip. Totally normal. Oh, he's doing it in a somber tone. How serious is he? He's about as serious as you guys are, which is not at all.